We have Auburn, Alabama, the Iron Bowl. Two teams right now that want nothing more than to beat the other team. Um, the season might not be fully successful for either, but it's the one thing you can kind of hang your hat on is that you beat the team across the state. Uh, Auburn thinks that they can beat Alabama. Alabama thinks that they can beat Auburn. Right now, Alabama 11.5-point favorites. The over under 52.5. I think right now, to me, game being played in Tuscaloosa is the key difference here. We've seen what Alabama's looked like on the road, so they're lucky to be playing at home in this one. How do you feel after looking at a tough Alabama performance last week and how they might perform here?
Yeah, I for this game, just looking at that performance from last week, part of me would say, "Oh, okay, this is very telling of who Alabama is." And I think that's what everybody wants people to say in the media. They want you to say that Alabama's down, but I don't think people really realize and understand how much players get up for these rivalry games. This one means a lot. I'm sure Saban's going to be around in some capacity. It's just there's a lot of pride in this game. And like
Yeah.
you mentioned, no matter how good or bad your season is, beating Auburn or beating Alabama is the number one, probably goal, or one of the main goals for the season. So I feel that Alabama is, probably having a hard week of practice, is getting their head right for this type of game. And they're probably watching the tape and looking at, what Auburn was able to do effectively against A&M to hopefully try to stop that for their side.
Yeah, and it's kind of how do you see it as a anomaly in Auburn's performance? What they were able to do last week, we've seen just an emergence of Cam Coleman in that game. Is it something that they're going to be able to keep doing, or was it a lapse on A&M's part? He found stride. Peyton Thorne did last week. Alabama's DBs have they started out the season looking like the shakiest unit. They've been
Yep.
better as of late. Malachi Moore, Bray Hubbard, Damani Jackson. They've looked super capable of shutting down something like this. But I think it's all about the mentality. In a game like this, do you ride the rivalry wave and bring back the mentality, or do you let yourself get down after a tough week? I think that they bounce back. This Auburn team is built defensively for one that could give Alabama trouble too.
Yeah, and you had talked about it in the preview going into the A&M Auburn game and what this Auburn defense has been able to do to stop the rushing attack. We've seen it in some of the games this season. They were able to kind of contain Marcel Reed from a rushing perspective. Passing was where he was kind of able to bust it open for them despite the loss for A&M. And for Auburn, I think that I don't think that these last 2 weeks were an anomaly. One being UL Monroe, and obviously last week being against A&M. What we're seeing is they just have burners on the outside. Like, quite frankly, Cam Coleman, he's a burner. KLS, we talk about it. And I mean, that almost catch at the end, or where he had like 2 feet in, but it wasn't fully caught. Like, he's got some guys out there. The challenge has been Peyton Thorne just putting the ball on the dot.
Yeah.
In a win, you saw a couple overthrows, but you saw a lot more positives in terms of hitting guys in the hands. Really letting the run with Jarquez Hunter kind of establish the pass. So I think there's something there. And I think to me, it's like, how can I not believe in them given the officialness, we'll say, of the competition of A&M compared to
Yeah.
ULM?
Yeah. And that's a big point to it. And they can run the ball well too. And Alabama missing some pieces. Deontay Lawson now out for the season. So it is worrisome from the Alabama side of knowing that this team is clicking right now. A couple weeks ago or a month ago, this game might have looked a lot different, and the spread probably would have been 20 plus. But now Alabama on a slide, Auburn on an incline.
Mm-hmm.
When I looked at Auburn's defense and what they could give Alabama trouble in, they're 11th in the nation right now in opponent yards per carry. And, Alabama has kind of slipped up a little bit in what their rushing attack looks like. And I think last week against Oklahoma, had they gone with the running back route as opposed to the quarterback route, that north-south vertical downfield pound the rock running, it would have been better. Instead, they went for the quarterback, a little bit more finesse style.
Yep.
I don't know if either will work in this game, but I'd like to see Alabama get back to running with the running backs in this one and hopefully opening something up.
Yeah, because I think you had mentioned that they had less than 15 rushing attempts between Jam Miller and Justice Haynes combined, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it felt like just a shift in game plan. And I don't know if it was, bad reads or the game plan just called for it. I think DeBar mentioned, Justice Haynes had some injuries or some stuff going on. So that could lead a little bit into why that happened. But you got some dogs back there. Give them some carries.
Right.
Because you're going to have to throw the ball in this game. You're going to have to do it. A&M did it last week with Marcel Reed, redshirt freshman quarterback. He's super capable. I think that Milroe is. He's getting a lot of hate as of late, but he has an arm. He has an arm. He can hit his guys. Should he set his feet when he's playing great? It's great. When it's bad, it's bad. But Alabama's going to have to throw in this game, and there's no better way to open that up than to give the ball to your running backs. A little bit of play action. Auburn is going to be playing the run.
Right. So you just kind of want to see, you think, a key for this game is it's not just, obviously you talked about what Auburn's able to do in terms of opponents rushing yards per game, 11th in the nation. You're looking for Alabama to diversify how they're running, right? Use your running backs, you still use the RPO, kind of get more guys involved, of course, in the passing. Some of the interceptions last week for them, were just bad reads. Like obviously the Ryan Williams one, it was pretty clear as day that he was covered by the corner there. And of course, the sack, fumble, interception one was also a tough one. But on the Auburn side, what do you think about this offense against the Alabama defense?
Yeah,
because they haven't really seen in terms of receivers that type of duo, I would say, this season.
Yeah, I mean Alabama's consistently left guys on an island. You have some guys out there that can make plays. Alabama does too. It's a gamble. It's a risk. Do you trust Peyton Thorne to make those plays? So I think that we're going to see Auburn take those shots. I mean, it's a game. What do you have to lose at this point in the year? So I think Auburn takes some shots and diversifies a little bit. You're going to run the ball. You're going to pass the ball. It's gambling when you're playing that game. So I think that Auburn can do it. I think that they're going to score some points. Right now, I think that if Alabama can bring back that dog mentality, bounce back from the game last week, and bring a little bit of confidence to this game, then they're going to out-skill this Auburn team.
Yep, absolutely. And I think on the other side, like I feel like I hope I'm not coming off like pro Auburn, but just the swagger that they're going to probably be coming into this game with that top 15 win last week, just the emotion that comes from winning in 4 overtimes, winning for your boy Hugh Freeze, not your boy specifically, but their head coach, Jarquez Hunter, continued to have pretty good performances this season. I think that Auburn could really show something in this game. But then part of me thinks about, how Bama beat Missouri and what they were able to do with those 2 receivers kind of locking up Theo Weiss and Luther Burden. If they could repeat that type of performance, I mean, I personally think Brady Cook is better than Peyton Thorne, right? And I think that the receivers that Missouri has are one of the 2 are probably, better in some ways than KLS and Cam Coleman. So that'll be a hot take there. But if Alabama can have a defensive performance like that in terms of 2 top receivers, that could bode well in terms of this game against Auburn.
Yeah, and I think they could shut them down. I mean, to me, the key for Auburn in this game is the defense. Oklahoma, you got out of there with 24 points. You didn't have to do a lot offensively. 1 touchdown came on a short field, 1 came on a pick 6. And this one, if you're Auburn, as much as I hate to say it, Milroe's going to run the ball, and he's going to do it often. If you shut that down, I mean, working or not, he's going to run the ball. And I don't know if that's necessarily a bad thing for Alabama. It's just the identity of the team. If you shut that down, then you're a team that is built to beat Alabama. I mean, USF shut down Milroe's run, and they almost beat him. Oklahoma did that. That's the key to beating this team. So if you're Auburn, you just need to commit to that.
Yep. I 100% agree with you. And I'm going to pose a question here and just want to get your thoughts. Do we see another quarterback from Alabama in this game if the game goes a little sideways?
If the game goes sideways, maybe.
Okay. Just given the state of where the program looks like and maybe what you've been reading.
I don't think so. I mean, it's at this point, if the game is so sideways that it's looking like, it's a last ditch effort, then maybe, because at this point you're playing for, you're not going to make the playoffs. You're playing for a bowl game. You're going to be a 4-loss team. If that is the case, then maybe you give some guys some snaps who's going to be playing next year. To me, while he's not Nick Saban. DeBoer's not Nick Saban. This team is not, the coaching staff is not the same. They know what they're doing. They're putting the best quarterback out there. If Ty Simpson was a better option, if Austin Mack was a better option, they've been seeing these guys in practice for months. They would be out there playing. So to me, no, I think that they stick with him. Last week was pretty brutal, and they stuck with him. And it's because he gives his team the best chance to win.
Definitely. And there was obviously still some life there. Of course, that touchdown that was called back. by what some thought was a questionable call from the location of where the ref was at. Certainly changed the momentum that was looking to be built there, but they stuck with Milroe. That was kind of the story of the game last week and the story for the season for Alabama. You live and die by what Milroe does, and at least that's how fans feel about it. And for Auburn, you're coming into this game. This is big for them, looking to win the Iron Bowl, but coming off of a big win. Offense is hitting on all cylinders the past couple weeks. And so final predictions here. Alabama's favored by 11.5. I personally think Alabama bounces back. I don't think it's going to be an 11.5 point spread per se. I'm going to say 31-21.
Okay. I like Alabama 38-20. Could be a big homer Alabama take. I don't think that they dropped 2 in a row. They looked great at home. And I think that's the key in this game is the home field advantage as to why that they would cover.
I mean, it's tough to play down there for sure. So, and, it is Nick Saban field. It's going to be a lot on the line. I know DeBoer knows he needs it. So, winning with style points in this game would be big for them. And of course, winning for Auburn, if it plays out that way, would be big for them as well.